Hi, my name is Brittany Miranda, and the overview of my lesson plan that I'd be using today for practicum would be using nature as art. So I took a couple of my students on a nature walk and I showed them things that could be used for art. So we went and we had a Ziploc bag and we collected things that we wanted to turn into art. So I showed them things like, oh, for example, this thing is living, this thing is not living, and I explained why the things were living or not. Then we'd come back inside the classroom, talk about the things we collected, the flowers, the bark, the sticks, the rocks, and everything. And then we talk about it. And then I then gave the students cardstock and let them start gluing things and let them use their imagination to make something. So some of them made a beach, some of them made a forest, another one made a spaceship. It was just cool. The first concept development I would use next time for this lesson plan would be prediction and experimentation. I would, instead of telling them what things is living or not living, I would have them predict what things they were living or non-living when we came back inside the classroom and talked about it. Then we would talk about it as a classroom, why the predictions were true or why they weren't true. And then explaining to them why some things are not living anymore, such as the sticks and the bark, and how rocks were never living and they're just like a mineral. I picked this because I noticed that some of the children were having a hard time trying to figure out why it wasn't living or why it was. The second one I would pick would be problem solving, because I noticed that a lot of the kids were picking up things that were really big that wouldn't be able to be hold on paper with just simple glue. So maybe giving them like a prep talk, like, oh, like let's use our problem solving skills, like what things would be reasonable to glue on the paper for our nature art. What things wouldn't be predictable or shouldn't be used because they're too big or too heavy, such as this huge rock compared to a little pebble, or a big piece of bark compared to a little stick. One unique word I would use for this lesson plan would be species, because we have different species of things. For example, different trees, different flowers, different types of bark, different types of rocks, different types of animals out in the wild. And I noticed that in our garden at the school, we have different species of trees. For example, apple trees, lemon trees, orange trees, peach trees, and etc. An example for species I would use for the children to understand would probably be explaining to them like, oh, there's different species of dogs. Like not everyone's dogs look the same. They're all different breeds, different kinds. And I feel like this would help them better understand this grasp of different species of flowers, trees, plants, and animals out in nature.